Xbox makes price cuts. They're doing a 180 of their previous announcement, which is a great thing. We have the June NPD numbers from Circana, which is showing us the top selling games. And one of the most interesting stories that has happened this year has been Xbox games on PlayStation. Do they continue to chart on PlayStation? And there is a game that is the best selling game of the year on PlayStation. Pretty crazy stuff there. And Battlefield 6 receives a new teaser for the upcoming announcement for the game. But before we do get into it, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff. It really does help the channel out. But for now, let's get into it. So prices for video games this generation have been pretty much insane in terms of how they've continuously gone up. There's been no real major discounts on consoles. You can get good game discounts, like for right now, the Xbox Summer Sale is going on. There's tons of great sales there. You obviously have the Steam sales. PlayStation has sales on their storefronts and everything. So there are many ways to get video games at a cheap price, never having to actually pay full price when the game does launch. And if you want to just wait a little bit, you can get games quickly that go down in price or buy secondhand. There's many different ways when it comes to consoles. However, the prices of consoles have gone up. They haven't given us any deals, no bundles or anything like that. And then the baseline prices, I think, are going to be increasing going into next generation, not only from the console perspective, but also from the games perspective. Nintendo kicked this all off with the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, which you could argue is basically the first console to launch the next generation, even though we are here in 2025. And they are pricing their games at $10 more than what games are priced on Xbox and on PlayStation currently. The next company that was following suit that came up publicly and announced that they were going to be raising prices was Xbox, and it was going to be starting here with the Outer Worlds 2. The game was going to cost $80, and this was also going to affect other releases from Xbox. Clearly, there was a massive uproar from gamers. Nobody wanted to pay an extra $10. The choice of using Outer Worlds 2 to kick this off from Xbox also was a very odd choice. You would think if they were going to do this, they were going to start with a game like Call of Duty. Well, Xbox has heard the gamers. They've probably also checked out their analytics and their numbers in terms of pre-orders, and it may be having an effect on the amount of people that have pre-ordered the game. And they've gone out here and they've cut the prices for the Outer Worlds 2 and for the other holiday Xbox games, which is a very good thing to see that they went ahead and reversed course on the pricing. It says here that Microsoft is going back on its plan to raise the prices of its first Xbox party games to $80 for later this year. And the company confirmed on Wednesday that it will be cutting the price of the Outer Worlds 2 and other full-priced holiday releases back to $70. And those who have already paid the $80 for the pre-orders of the Outer Worlds 2 will have to get refunds from their point of purchase. So wherever you went in, pre-ordered it or whatever, you can go get a refund. If you pre-ordered it at GameStop or whatever and you didn't pay the full amounts for the game, I'm sure when you go and pick up the game, you'll just only have to pay the $70. But if you have to pay a full amount to get pre-orders in other places, you have to go back and get your $10 back, which should be no problem whatsoever, especially because the game isn't even out and you would have to go pick up the game anyways when it does launch. They say after that, you'll then be able to pre-order the game again for the new $70 price tag. And in a statement to Windows Central, the company says the decision comes in order to line with the current market conditions. So the market conditions have been fluctuating. These companies are using it as their excuses for changing prices, raising prices, now cutting prices. And who knows how many times they're going to look at these market conditions and change it up. They say we're focused on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and we'll keep our full-priced holiday releases, including the Outer Worlds 2, at $69.99, in line with the current market conditions. So that is what the Xbox spokesperson has said, and it's a good move. It's a smart move. I'm very happy that this is happening. But the only head scratchy thing is, why did they do this initially? The only thing you can think of is that they were following a line here for Nintendo. I'm sure they were looking at the numbers for these games and not expecting to get a huge increase in purchases, especially if the game goes up to $80. A lot of people are just going to wait. The other major reason why they probably went ahead and did this was that hoping people would sign up to Xbox Game Pass rather than actually go out and purchase the game specifically on Xbox. I guess they'll never know if the $10 increase would have had an effect on the Xbox Game Pass business because the game has not come out yet and they've already brought the price back down to normal. They also may be looking at the fact that they sell so many copies of Xbox games on PlayStations. They don't want to take away any incentives from PlayStation gamers going out to buy the Outer Worlds 2 on day one at that full price. If that $10 is going to make or break a purchase for people, specifically on the PlayStation platform, because they don't have access to Game Pass, they probably don't want to lose out on those sales from people who don't want to pay that extra $10. Because as of right now, their strategy of putting games on the PS5 at the current pricing has just been knocking it out of the park. Xbox games have been on top of the charts for PlayStation, and we will look at some more numbers surrounding that, just showing where Xbox is right now. And in fact, they have a game that is the best-selling game all year currently on the PS5. Now, I did kind of make a comment on this because people are wondering, well, if gamers are going to push back and Xbox is going to go back on what they've done here for pricing, why wouldn't Nintendo do the same? Why can't gamers force this to do Nintendo? And I think there is definitely a difference between Xbox raising their prices with a game like Outer Worlds 2 and Nintendo coming out with raising the prices of their games. If you take a look at Nintendo sales, you take a look at the games that Nintendo does put out, their games have a wider range of demographics to go out and purchase those games. Like, for example, a Mario Kart or even a Donkey Kong Bonanza, or when the next Mario 3D World game comes out or side-scrolling version of it comes out, it appeals to kids, everybody in between, all the way up to seniors who go out and actually are interested and want to play this game. Even from personal experience, I can see that happening, and they just have a massive amount of people who play it, people who aren't hardcore gamers, people that don't really follow the industry or care about picking up and playing every single game or following every single release. So there's absolutely a difference between a Mario Kart being a higher price or Donkey Kong Bonanza being a higher price, and then a Outer Worlds 2, which it has nothing against the quality of the game. I think Outer Worlds 2 is going to be an extremely high quality game and a very good RPG, but the demographics of people who they are trying to charge an extra $10 to or $80 to is significantly smaller. So if you have a large segment of those gamers who just sit there and decide, I don't want to pay the $80, I'll either not buy it and wait later on, or I just won't play it at all, that has a much bigger effect than if you had a segment of people who are trying to pick up Mario Kart or Super Mario games, and then the rest of the people out there just don't care and they still go ahead and pay the price because of the just larger pool of people that are interested in playing those types of games. So I think that's one of the reasons why even pushback online from people against Nintendo isn't going to change that much. You take a look at how much Nintendo is selling. People who aren't following the industry probably don't even follow these price fluctuations that much. They just want to get the latest Nintendo games. So hopefully at some point, we do see the industry kind of deciding on a price from all of the different companies out there. And hopefully it is the lesser price, which is the current prices going on for most games. But going into the next generation is when I think we will definitely see that official $10 price increase from Xbox and PlayStation. And then, of course, Nintendo as well, who's already increased the prices of some of their games. But right now, it was a very odd move to use the Outer Worlds 2 as the main game to increase the price, and they've obviously gone back and reversed that decision, knowing that it was going to have an effect. I also just feel like the pre-orders probably weren't very good so far for the Outer Worlds 2. Now, when it comes to sales of games, we got the June results for sales across Xbox, PlayStation, the overall top selling games for Matt Piscatella and Circana. And there's some interesting stuff here. And one of the most interesting things is what is the best selling game on PlayStation of the year. We will look at that, but we'll start off here with the top 20 best selling premium games so far in June of 2025. The top 5 here are Elden Ring, Night Rain. Elden Ring is super popular. This game didn't even get great reviews and people still went out and purchased it in droves. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, which is good to see here from Kojima and from PlayStation's perspective, who have published this game. From Sony, who has published it, they're probably very happy with that. I don't think the first Death Stranding did as well, at least at launch. And overall, I don't think the first Death Stranding sold insanely well, but Death Stranding 2 is going to be doing a lot better. You have Mario Kart World here from Nintendo, which is a great kart racing game, coming in at number 3. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 here, still in the top 5 here at number 4, and then you have Stellar Blade here at number 5. And that's probably a lot to do with the PC release of it, because last month it was 185. So Sony in June has had a nice pushback comparatively to what we've seen in previous month with Death Stranding 2 here and Stellar Blade for games that they have purchased. In terms of Xbox and Microsoft in the top charting list here, you have Call of Duty, Forza Horizon 5. Then you go down to the list a bit more. You have the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remaster, which is still charting. That was a top selling game when it did come out. And so they got 3 games there in the top 20 here in June. But generally, you look at this stuff and it's still a lot of the similar games. You got the Call of Duties in there. You still have like EA Sports FC and NBA sports games that are charting in there. You also have some interesting stuff here like Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, which was a Nintendo Switch 2 launch game for Marvelous Entertainment that is now in the top 20 ranking here at number 10. So that is the top 20 stuff. That is the top games here from all platforms, physical and digital games, and everything from Xbox to PlayStation. And then when it comes to the best selling premium games year to date, Monster Hunter Wilds is still on top. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is still here at number 2. That's a Xbox Microsoft game. And even with the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion charting at number 2 overall this year, there were still layoffs at Virtuous Games because of the industry that is, everything that is going on. People are always saying if you just make a good game and it sells well, there will not be layoffs. I think this flies right in the face of that, simply because of, I guess you could use the term market conditions as to what is happening with the gaming industry. Even when a game sells very well, there are still layoffs happening at studios. And then you also have Assassin's Creed Shadows, which again, where you still have grifters out there pretending like this game did not do well. It's still at number 3 so far in 2025 as a top selling game. So you know this game has sold well. Ubisoft has come out with the 5 million players number, and they've also said that the game met their expectations. So Assassin's Creed Shadows, no matter how much people wanted this game to fail, did not fail. It did very well. You have Call of Duty Black Ops 6 here still in the top 5 at number 4. You look at Xbox, they have the Elder Scrolls, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Forza Horizon 5, Doom the Dark Ages, all in the top 20. And PlayStation has Spider-Man 2 here down at number 20 in terms of the top selling games of the year. Now, when you look at the platforms on a platform by platform basis, PlayStation is doing well with their top published game. Death Stranding 2 did come in here. This did release late in June. It is number 1 on PlayStation, followed by Elden Ring. And then to round out the top 5, you have 2 Xbox games with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Forza Horizon 5, and then another Sony game coming in at MLB The Show 25. You also have Minecraft still down there in the top 10 on PlayStation. So Microsoft and Xbox themselves have 3 games in the top 10 selling games on PlayStation in the month of June. Xbox, they have their own games. They're with Minecraft, Forza Horizon 5, and Call of Duty, as well as the Elder Scrolls Online, which is still up there at number 2. But what else is interesting here is that people were trying to send this narrative that Xbox gamers don't buy Final Fantasy 16 was not selling well, and it's because that's the reason why Square Enix initially didn't put it on Xbox. They didn't think people were going to buy it. That was clearly a false narrative. You see Final Fantasy 16 here charting at number 4 as the top selling games on the Xbox platform, which to me is good. It's impressive for a game that's already been out for a long time. There's probably lots of people on Xbox who've already picked the game up and played it, whether that was on PC or on the PlayStation 5. For it to come out here on Xbox and chart in the top 5 at number 4 shows that Square Enix is correct about the multi-platform strategy. Putting games, locking it to PlayStation is a bad move for games like Final Fantasy, is a bad move for Square Enix, and this is just another one of those games that is exemplifying that. So good to see that game is their Xbox gamers did go out and buy it, and I think is going to be more proof that Square Enix needs to put all their games day one on to Xbox. And finally, Forza Horizon 5. This is a very interesting thing. And if you're wondering if the Xbox strategy has paid off, putting games on PlayStation, all of the other things we've talked about Xbox games charting shows that it has. But this one here, more so than any, shows it in that Forza Horizon 5 is PlayStation's best-selling game here in 2025. It's, I think, telling you a lot about how popular some of these Xbox games are. It says here that according to Alinea Analytics, as of July 21st, Forza Horizon 5 has sold over 3 million copies on PS5. Which is crazy about this is that Monster Hunter Wilds is just behind it with 2.9 million copies sold. And then there is a big gap here as Assassin's Creed Shadows manages to get itself on the PS5 podium with a respectable 2 million copies sold. So Shadows alone on PS5, they're saying it's already sold 2 million. So if you add in the other platforms, you could see it getting closer to that 5 million players number that they give if you're trying to relate players to sales. But Forza Horizon 5, according to Alinea Analytics, again, it's not 100% confirmed because this isn't coming from PlayStation themselves, but from this analytics company, 3 million copies sold on PS5, making the top selling game on PlayStation for the year. And I think there's a few things that play into that. PlayStation themselves haven't put out first party title exclusives this year so far, other than the publishing Death Stranding 2, which is charting, but I don't know if it's going to pass Forza Horizon 5. And the other thing is that it's just a game that has so much more broad appeal to way more gamers. I think even if PlayStation were to have come out with another first party exclusive that they had developed from their own studios, I still think Forza Horizon 5 would probably be outselling those games simply because of the game it is. And it is a massive game, very fun. A lot more people get into it that wouldn't be interested in a game like a Death Stranding 2. And Xbox probably knew this when they're looking at a game like Forza Horizon 5 and thinking putting it on PlayStation would just net them a ton of money based off of it selling well. So the strategy is there. It is working, and they will more than likely be putting more games on the platform going forward. What is interesting, because I was thinking about this the other day, is that there are still games at launch on Xbox that are not launching day one on PS5. Like, for example, Grounded 2, which the first one is on PS5, not coming to PS5 day one. I'm sure it will later, but the whole strategy really isn't something that you know exactly what is going to happen with each release and where and when it is going to be launching on all of the different platforms. But as of right now, Xbox games are doing phenomenally well across the charts, especially on the PlayStation platform. So that's the sales stuff for June. Always interesting information that does come out of those charts. Finally, Battlefield 6, we are getting the official reveal very, very soon, which is today. You'll be able to watch it, but there is a brand new teaser hyping up this game. So go ahead and watch the trailer today because I'm excited, and we will talk about it in tomorrow's show. But they say here that a new Battlefield 6 teaser was posted by the official Battlefield account. It says, Pax Armada rises as NATO cracks. Their motto, our protection, your peace, but who's pulling the strings and to what end? So this is just the quick teaser that they did show off here. Quick 40-second teaser of the single player campaign, which I'm excited to see exactly what they do with the single player campaign. And I'm guessing we will see more information about that today. But Battlefield 6, I've talked about this one for a while. I think that the leaks have helped it out. I think the game does look very good. And I'm really having my fingers crossed that they don't mess this one up and it brings Battlefield back to prominence, where we're getting two incredible first-person shooters go head-to-head. You can play both if you want and figure out which one you like better, with Battlefield 6, which is supposedly launching in October, followed by Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which is supposedly launching in November. So it's going to be a very fun time this year for first-person shooters. But I will end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.